Hi everyone, welcome back to the Movie Reviewers 100. My name is Scott, also known as CineRam, here on YouTube and Facebook. And you can find this channel on YouTube and Facebook. There is a link to our Facebook page in the description below if you're watching on YouTube right now. Go to that page and click the like button. You can contribute comments, feedback, ideas for future themes. We have a new one every week. It's usually an actor, actress, director, genre of some kind. But this week, of course, we're focusing on people who share the same birthday as one of our members, FORKERBALL, aka Ian. We've had a review, of course, of Chris Hemsworth movie, Snow White and the Huntsman, by Ian himself. And we had a review from James on a Hulk Hogan movie. Hulk Hogan also has the same birthday as FORKERBALL. I have selected Viola Davis, who has gotten a lot of attention in the past few years since she starred in a movie called The Help, which was nominated for Best Picture. There has been a lot of talk lately about the fact that people, actors and actresses, especially actresses who are not white, are seldom the main character, the center of attention in a film or on a television show. That's going to change for Viola Davis this fall because she's starring in a movie from the person who created Grey's Anatomy called How to Get Away with Murder. She plays a law professor. But she might not have gotten that show if she hadn't been in The Help. She had been cast almost exclusively in supporting parts up until this point throughout her career. I think one of the most noteworthy films that she's been in prior to that was Solaris, which Steven Soderbergh directed and George Clooney starred in, the science fiction film. The Help came out in 2011 and, like I said, was nominated for Best Picture. Viola Davis was nominated for Best Actress for playing Aibileen, a woman in the 1950s who works as a maid in one of the wealthy families in Jackson, Mississippi. Her good friend Minnie was an Oscar winner actually for this movie, played by not Minnie the character, but Octavia Spencer, the actress, was nominated and won Best Supporting Actress that year. She's also a maid. She used to work for the Bryce Dallas Howard character. Excuse me, that's a jet. We've got an air and water show this weekend in Chicago, and they're getting an early start. It's Thursday. I figured it would just be the weekend, Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. No, they're screaming and riding by my house already. It's kind of early for that. I don't know. Anyway, Bryce Dallas Howard plays Hilly. Was sort of the queen bee of the community amongst the wealthy wives, who is actually working to pass a law which states that African American people working in a white home have to use different bathrooms. They have to have a special bathroom just for them as part of what they call a home sanitation initiative or something like that. Totally ridiculous. One person who sees through all this is a character played by Emma Stone. She plays Skeeter, who, unlike many of her friends, is not married, does not have any kids. She's been away to college. She got a journalism degree. She wants to be a reporter for the newspaper or a writer for a magazine in New York or write a book of some kind. And she is quite disdainful of what she sees as the prejudice against black people in the community, particularly in regards to the women who work as maids for the wealthy white families, because they take care of the whole house, do the cooking, and take care of the children, which a lot of the mothers don't seem to have time for. So she goes to Aibileen with an idea. She's basically put in charge when she gets home from school. She gets a job writing for an advice column on housekeeping. So she goes to Aibileen for help with that because she doesn't know that much about housekeeping. Aibileen knows quite a bit about that. But after seeing how some of these people are treated and learning that her mother fired their longtime maid while she was away at school, despite the fact that she'd known that woman all her life and been raised by her, she gets kind of angry about that, and she asks Aibileen to secretly help her collect the stories of women who work in Jackson, Mississippi, on what life is like working for these families, for these white families. Now, this is a decent movie as movies go. But there's one little problem with that, and that is a problem that's common with a lot of these types of stories about cultural minority, especially in this country, and that is that they're almost always told by white people. For example, Glory, Civil War movie about an all-black regiment. The main character is Matthew Broderick, a white guy who's in charge of the regiment. Dances with Wolves. Kevin Costner is the main character, despite the fact that most of the cast is Native Americans. And it's about them living and dealing with, the oppression that they've experienced. And it's the same kind of thing here. Now, Viola Davis's character, Aibileen, is more or less sort of a co-lead with Emma Stone's character, Skeeter, who's writing the book. They're working together in secret. And so it's more or less evenly balanced between the two as which is the main character. But a lot of attention is paid towards Skeeter's family and her boyfriend problems and what have you, and that just doesn't sort of compare with the kind of things that Aibileen and her friend Minnie and the other maids who are characters in the movie go through. And this may be due to the fact that this movie is based on a novel written by Kathryn Stockett, who is white, and probably used the Skeeter character as a stand-in for herself. She didn't write a non-fiction book about growing up and being raised by a black woman who worked for her parents. She wrote a novel, basically, that was set in the 50s, decades before she was actually born. And so Skeeter, during the course of the story, Skeeter actually goes to find out about what the laws are regarding treatment of African American people in the community, and learns that it's illegal to write any kind of material that espouses equal treatment amongst the races. That's actually a law. And so not only is it frowned upon socially to interact with African Americans, especially those who are hired to basically serve as robots for the white families, but it's actually illegal to do this, and so everyone's got to work in secret if they want to see the book published. It stands to reason that in the 1950s, it would be probably impossible for, or close to impossible anyway, for someone like Aibileen, who has plenty of stories to tell, to get a book deal of her own. It has to be done through this white character. And not only is Kathryn Stockett, of course, white, but also the director of the movie, Tate Taylor, he's also white as well. Yeah, while it's an all-right movie, it's part of that sort of cultural imbalance. There was a survey I read recently about, or at least I read about the survey, that said that less than 25% of the main characters in mainstream big studio feature films are anything other than white characters. And this has been going on for a really long time. You have somebody like Denzel Washington, who's a big box office draw, but by and large, most of the parts he takes, his race is totally irrelevant. Occasionally he or Will Smith or someone will do a part that specifically calls for a black actor to play the character. But for the most part, he's playing cops, he's playing FBI agents, whatever, and it could be played by a person of any race, not necessarily. So he's sort of in a privileged position there as far as members of the African American community. But you won't find nearly as many. You'll find the overwhelming majority of central characters. I'm not talking about supporting characters, I'm talking about main characters. In big studio, major studio, widely distributed movies, over 75% of them are white. And a movie like The Help doesn't help because, again, the main character, or at least one of the co-leads, is a white character. So while I admire a lot of the acting in the movie, and it is a very well-acted movie, it's, again, a little bit not contributing to the negative trend rather than to the positive trend. Not that the movie has no value at all. It does. It's an enjoyable film for the most part. But yeah, it is part of the trend that many people, I think, wish would stop. I remember reading about Lupita Nyong'o, who won Best Supporting Actress for 12 Years a Slave earlier this year. And after she got cast in the Jungle Book movie, people were like, is this the best we could do? I mean, for crying out loud. She's beautiful, she's extremely talented, and yet they cast her in the Jungle Book movie rather than, you know, I mean, then she got cast in Star Wars, of course, so that was all great. And the fact that they'd cast more women in Star Wars was music to a lot of people's ears. But yeah, there's been a lot of complaining about that this year, especially after 12 Years a Slave came out. So there's my review, such as it is, of The Help. Hope you enjoyed it, and I hope you tune in the coming weeks to our channel, because we're going to be doing tribute weeks for both Robin Williams and Lauren Bacall, who passed away recently. Thank you very much for watching. Again, please subscribe and visit our Facebook page and comment. We would appreciate it very much. Thank you.